Actually, we need to put it on.
Bring it
Yeah,
up.
okay, I will do that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. 7 o'clock, we're going to open the meeting here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I think everyone's here with the exception of Paul. Is it? Your
Okay.
count, Gail?
Yep. I'm here, I'm ready.
Okay. First item of business is the minutes from our last joint meeting. Any comment? Any motions?
Make a motion, we accept them written.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
I have a second. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Okay, passed unanimously. Okay. I got the number from the police budget from Greenville today at about 2 o'clock. 28,695 is the target number.
So what, it's not 28.9, what's your number? I know you gave it to us.
Let me get to the page.
Okay.
I have it written down here. I didn't put it in my.
Page 5.
Yeah, but he needs to know he talked to Greenville.
Yes, okay. 275, 300 is the total.
27,000.
257,300. Up
275.
275, 301.
That's the budget. Did you?
That's
You had
the
a new
budget.
number on the surplus.
And the surplus was 28,695.
Okay, now we understand that after they get audited, then they will reduce our monthly payment by that much spread over the year.
Okay. So that's,
Okay,
they have that expectation as we do. From the recycle center, I got the update today also. $78,064.
78,604,
064.
064. Okay,
And there, I think they did a reassessment of their expected income. I thought they were lowball on the income, on their revenues, and apparently their select board agreed. So that has reduced it a little bit from where it was.
okay, was
Also-
80,000, yeah.
Also, the important part is that the capital has always come out of the revolving fund, and the select board has a preference. The Wilton Select Board has a preference for continuing that instead of using the revolving fund to reduce the operating cost budget. So I'm in full agreement with that, especially with the number of things that will be coming up in the next 4 years or what have you. So those items. Rec committee talked with Vivian, and she's going to stay firm with the 2,500. And the training that was discussed, that cost, I don't know, 550, something like that, will come out of the revolving fund.
Okay. Okay.
Okay, the library, I'm still not sure that we've settled on. We have the repairs and maintenance. There's a $7,000 range. I don't remember, Andy, maybe you know, is that for the carpet or we had a carpet in?
No,
in for
and
capital and,
right, so, and I was gonna ask about that when we get to CIP, because I know that is in our plan.
Yeah.
When I spoke with them, they had no immediate request for the carpet, and it's something they want to replace
okay,
within the next few years. It's not critical yet.
okay,
So, and I believe when the BAC and CIP met with them,
yes.
they did not submit a request for that, so.
There was not a push for it, and as such, I have moved it to next year, just a push, so,
If it's, why don't we put it further out than that?
well,
We can reevaluate. I think the point is that it isn't this year.
yeah,
Okay, all right.
yeah,
Okay.
I mean, we're gonna pay for it someplace on the chart, but,
Right.
Do you know what's in there, $7,000 for repairs?
You know, I'm trying to remember, this was discussed, I believe, when they met with the BAC,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And we need to consult those minutes. I don't recall whether they had a specific maintenance request.
There was a discussion about a possible grant for 3850. And never got feedback on that, so.
They've abandoned the fence.
The fence has no longer become a priority.
But we did get clarification on the way that those trust funds that they were
Yeah.
given can be spent, and I guess I didn't understand that.
We can, I suggest we address that under CIP, but because I did meet with them on that, I think I
Yeah.
distributed to everybody a summary of that.
Okay.
This 7,000 in the budget, though, that was not for the fence, right?
No,
No. Okay.
Correct. This was for some other items, and I don't recall what they were anymore, but
It's programmatics.
Weren't
there
they
were,
gonna improve the garden out there too?
oh, yes, they were gonna lay sod or
Yes.
something down.
yes, and there was a possibility of getting.
No, wait a minute, that's in the landscaping.
Yeah.
Sod was in landscaping.
Someplace.
They were gonna be,
But that's not maintenance.
No,
This is
no.
repair and maintenance.
Oh, did that include the furnace they wanted to?
No,
No,
Well, we all agree that that's
I don't know.
out
what they
there
were doing.
someplace.
So we got a mystery 7,000 is what it comes down to. Yes.
Yeah, and
it was,
I didn't go through the minutes.
well, it was, the budget from last year was 5,000 for repair and maintenance. It was up by 2,000.
Yeah,
And there was a reason, I just can't remember.
and there was something that they were gonna get perhaps a grant for
To offset.
to offset part of that. I don't remember, and I could maybe go through the minutes, but I don't want to do that right now.
I mean, if we don't need to know tonight, I can check with them and get clarification.
Okay,
Okay,
okay, let's leave it there as a placeholder then, and we'll come back and visit that tomorrow. Okay,
Yeah,
okay. All right. That's all I have on the final updates. Go to the last page on the accounting for the budget of 2022, 2023. And where the warrant articles are. The first warrant article, the paving trust, what I have in is 235,000 for this year to fund the trust. And we'll talk about this with us at the CIP budgeting. So that brings us to 275,000 for those total warrants. And we have one additional warrant down below the CIP line, and that is for $20,000 to go to the fire department for equipment repairs. That's emergency equipment repairs, and it's an expendable trust. It can be expended. It's there because if we have extraordinary expenses that are not accounted for in the budget, that we have a way of repairing equipment to move
well,
on.
let me ask a question about that. They've got 5,000 in there now. and they said we'd like 20.
Yeah.
Are we adding 20 or adding 15 to bring them to 20?
Well, originally, we were talking about 20, and we were going to take some of the money out of that account for 2022 to do a repair. And that was about 3,900 kind of numbers. What I suggested that we do was to pay for that out of the 2022 budget, which the select board approved, and that was executed. So one could argue that that 3,900 already came out. Yes,
So I'm confused. I thought that amount, the amount that they just spent came out of the expense item as opposed to an allocated trust.
It did.
Right.
Okay, so
Yes.
we've still got the trust, or rather, we've still got the repair and maintenance budget at 9,000, which it's been at historically. Right? Is that, I mean.
They just went over. We just let them go over.
But then when they go over, then they move over to the trust fund. That's
Yes.
the way I understood.
yeah, that is, but in this case, instead of taking it from the trust fund, we took it from other departments,
But
other surplus that resulted from other departments.
Okay.
other line items.
that won't happen because we've got an allocated trust fund.
We've always had.
Well,
So we've always had that.
no, no.
All right, if you look at
There was
page,
excess in other budgets and they just decided not to take it out of the trust. They take it out of the regular budget.
look on page
I
5.
understand that.
Yeah,
I'm really
But
talking
they
about
can
move forward.
But they could do that in forward years too.
Could everybody look at page 5? You'll see what happened.
Always.
There was on the repairs line, they actually spent 17,000, which was $7,700 more than their budget. Everybody sees that? Okay.
Yeah.
And we did not take anything out of their trust fund.
Yeah.
For repairs.
Right.
So the only reason I brought this up is,
That's,
do we assign 15,000? They've got 5,000 now in the trust fund. They said we need 20. Did they mean we need 20 added or we need 20 total?
well, I think they added they requested added. And.
So what do we want to do? Do we
and I
want to give
think
them?
And I think we allocated 39 already from budgetary surplus.
It hasn't been allocated. It's just been spent.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, no, it came from,
So you're
Other
actually setting a
surplus.
limit in that trust to 25. Is that what you're saying you're doing?
I'm saying that,
The 5 plus the 20 is 25.
yeah,
So the limit is 25.
Yeah, so what is being appropriated in the warrant article?
So
Right.
we want 20 in the warrant article.
or
Okay.
do we want 15?
What does Ken think about
And
it?
there will still be,
What do you think you need in there? You think 20 is enough? Yeah,
So I would, we asked for 20, that's what the engineers asked for.
added to what's there.
Yes, I would ask for the same.
Okay. All right. The reason why that's important is that if you look at the bottom line, we've really got a big budget here. You know, add 20, we've got 1,649, 1,110 on the last page.
Okay.
And that's 88,000 more than last year.
Ooh,
And it's also 174,000 more than we actually spent last year. I mean, you can compare it either way. I mean, there are other items maybe we should consider cutting back. I don't know if we can cut back anywhere in this budget. You know, but I mean, it's huge. It's a huge increase.
yeah, so did any of the Fed money that they were handing out like candy artificially lower our cost last year?
Did it lower our costs? No, we,
Artificially make our budget,
no, what we did, we spent it on things we wouldn't have been able to spend it on, like the roof and the, you know, the. that we got here.
anyway, so.
No, we put it to good use, but it didn't affect the budget.
No, but we'd had to appropriate that money, would that put us
at some point.
Oh, yeah, no, it's a potential saving. Yeah, No, thank you, federal government. I appreciate it. Okay.
Can I
But
bring something up about the fire department while we're on the fire
Yeah,
department?
when I pay my taxes, that's one of the things.
And this is for Ken. You guys spend each year on, let me see if I can find it.
What page you on to, Kim?
It's on page 5.
Page 5 again.
The equipment, yeah, where's the fire equipment, the fire gear, what one you got that under?
Oh,
Fire
those
supplies,
PPEs,
PPE,
yeah,
610.
610?
yeah. See, they went over last year on that too.
Yeah, they
Well,
had-
what my thought,
there were new people.
what I wanted to say about the gear is it just came out within a couple of weeks ago that the gear they're making now has the PFAS in it,
Uh,
that is cancer causing equipment. And which I know I wore the stuff for years too, but should we slack off for a couple of years buying it until they come out with something new?
We really only buy what we need to buy.
Okay,
So if someone's gear is coming out of date and we have to put them up, then we do. If we don't, then we use it for gloves and masks and other things.
oh, okay, I thought maybe
so-
you were just buying 2 new sets of gear every year or something, and
We try to keep up with what's going out of date.
Yeah.
And it's about to, right now, I think we're ahead of the game because we did spend more money last year because we had some more people come on board. So that will mean that we have others that don't need it and won't need it for quite a while, so.
well, that's good, because
Yeah.
I just figured the way they're raising hell about it, that they're be within another couple of years, they'll be coming out with gear that doesn't have that in it anymore. And that's what we should start swapping over to.
You hit the internet and it's all, if you're a firefighter, you got cancer, call this
Yeah,
number.
I know.
If you wore this, you got cancer, you call this number.
Yeah.
It's
If you
amazing.
didn't wear your gear, then you got. I know. I know.
Show up to the fire, you get cancer.
But no, I just wanted to talk with you a little bit about that. That was.
Yeah, no, we only buy what we absolutely have to. And normally it's right around 2 or one set of gear and maybe a couple pairs of boots because people wearing out their boots.
Yeah.
That kind of thing. So
Okay,
we don't,
At
we
one
don't,
point
we
in
don't
time-
spend it because we can.
Yeah, at one point in time, we had periodic expenditures from the CIP, from the capital budget for these items, and we decided that we would try to spread them out, and that would be a better way of funding it from the town.
Yeah, because I think we had 8 sets of gear in the CIP. And that was, in fact, had some that were outdated and we were still wearing them. And at that point, we had to have 8 sets of gear.
I have a question to you. Since this may be a health issue, do you think they may come out and say that you have to do it within a 1-year time frame? Replace all that equipment?
Well, right now, NFPA says every 10 years.
Yeah, but because of this chemical thing, it could be a health issue.
They may change it, they may not. That's all NFPA, that's a whole nother world.
Yep.
Those are the guys that are monitoring everything, so they're the ones that are gonna push that out the water sooner or later.
I'm sure there'll be court battles over it and everything.
Yeah, first, before the NFPA does anything about
How often do our people wear the PPE?
it. Every time you go to any fire call, you have to have your PPE on.
How many times a year do we do that?
We had an exceptional year. We had 160 something calls.
Wow.
So a lot of them were medical too. So you would say that 50 or 60 of them were fire calls, accidents,
Okay,
out on the road. So 50 or 60 times. And then once every month, whoever comes to training
right,
wears their gear.
okay, so 5 times a month on the numbers we have.
Yep, right around
Do we have liability for that? And should we carry long tail insurance for that? Or is that really a manufacturer's problem? Because what if one of our young people gets cancer?
Well,
in 20 years.
Then you have to go back and you have to either join one of those lawsuits with everybody else
Class action suit.
and try and get a piece of something. Or you try and do it yourself, but now the burden of proof is on you that you got it from that.
But I guess I'm saying, I'm wondering, is the town of Temple liable if that were to happen, or is that really a manufacturer's?
Honestly,
We
the
don't know.
town of Temple gives the fire department no benefits other than workers' compensation. So unless we get hurt on the job, there's nothing there for us anyway.
The problem with that chemical, it's in the environment so much right now. You could never prove it came from that equipment.
Correct. Yeah.
It's like, I read an article about fishing. Right now, they're saying don't bother to catch any fish.
Yeah,
Because
so
they have so
you-
much dangerous chemicals in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, for the two.
Back to the repairs and maintenance, Ken, so this year, and I don't know if this is a total figure to the end of the year, but this past year, 17,281. What do you anticipate, and I know some of it is, you can't anticipate, but what do you anticipate in terms of repairs and maintenance?
We try to do our normal stuff once a year, everything gets an oil change. If we need tires, and tires have to go on. Other than that, it's pretty much, we wait till something happens, or when it goes for inspection and it needs to be fixed, then it gets fixed. We never know what that is.
Let me ask you the question in a different way. What happened this past year that took us from that 9,000 to the 17?
Our engine, the fire engine, had some coolant problems and needed a lot of coolant piping in the truck repaired. I think there was a brake issue with the engine brake. So that was some internal engine work that we had to have done. And then, of course, all of the other trucks too, their regular maintenance stuff, oil changes, that kind of stuff.
I guess what I'm trying to, and I know it's hard to estimate this. If we've now kind of ramped up the sort of baseline from 9,000 to 20,000, which is more than double, right? Because you're asking for 20, is that correct?
No, we're back at, we have the same, flat line on that line item.
So we're back to where we were.
Yes, but the 20,000, let's be clear. The 20,000 is for our emergency
For
repair
the
fund,
trust.
for that trust fund. That's
That's
that's not part of the budget. It's not part of the budget per se.
Yes.
It's a warrant article
Okay,
that will have to be approved in town meeting.
got it. So that's not listed on your line.
Right now, it's not.
Okay.
We got
Well, it's on
It's up to the
the,
Warner.
it's on the last, under the warrant article.
I didn't-
And actually, it's not there.
Here.
It's,
Okay.
Accountability.
one more, yes.
Right, he said they had a little while back.
Yes,
Got it. I'm sorry. Okay.
yes, I mean,
Jerry, the modeling that you did with the leveling, does that include the 20,000 that we're putting into?
no,
No, okay, thank you.
and that's another item that hits the overall tax rate. So if we want to include it, we can do that. I mean, that's really up to us, but we picked on the CIP committee 275,000 a year kind of numbers, because that was a flat rate for replacement of capital. These items that are expendable, essentially for repairs or those kinds of, emergency for a building, whatever it is, those are outside the capital replacements. So should we include it? I think that's up for grabs. If we do that, we would essentially reduce the amount that we're putting into the asphalt and paving. So that's another 20,000 we're going to have to make up someplace else at another time. So
Why don't we go over that again when you come to the CIP and finish the budget now?
yeah,
Are we done with the budget?
do we have anything that we need to look at in the budget? We're at Well,
Are
right
you
now,
talking?
1,006,000.
Yeah.
We're not talking CIP yet.
There was the last page, add 20,000 for the fire department.
Yeah,
So the total now will be 1,649,110, 110.
Are you gonna do a warrant article for the highway paving?
Yeah,
yes, yeah, that's there at the 235,000.
look at the top, 228,000.
Yeah, but that's,
It's actually, that number should be 235,000.
235 now?
Yes, that's what, that's since I sent it out. I'm sorry.
Why is it now 235?
It is now at 235 because the recomputation of what we needed to put into capital came up at 235.
so of that 235, how much are you gonna take out of the trust fund?
Okay, we're gonna put in 235,000 and we're gonna take out a total of 478,000 from the capital. Capital, we had $175,000. We're jumping back and forth between CIP and budget here, but the capital budget last year, we had a warrant article for $175,000, which was for the new truck. The new truck, which requires a new door.
Yeah, right.
Okay. That 175,000 was put into the capital trust fund, not just warranted for by a truck. So we have the first amount, which is for the cab and the chassis. I don't remember the exact number, but much of it is going to be paid in either January or February, not sure when that'll
But
clear.
that's all for the truck, what I was at.
That's already in the
Was
trust,
the paving.
yes. So the paving, out of the paving comes essentially 175 out of that, so 300,000,
Cause he's.
309, 303.
He's got his budget at 213 is what he's planning on spending for paving.
And we have 188
And we
in the
have
trust.
188 in there. So you have to have a warrant article to make up that difference.
Yes, we have 187 in the warrant article now, or the trust fund,
Well, yeah, 188.
yes. Okay,
And he wants to spend 209, so you need another 20,
Well,
22,000.
well, he wants to spend 303.
Where did
Well,
303?
that's the truck. You're talking about the truck.
No, no,
Can
no,
that's
that's,
a shift to the CIP because I think
Yeah, which is, yeah,
it's a lot of numbers here that I'm not understanding.
okay. Let's close out the budget
Okay.
for discussion. and then
Okay,
go to
yeah, good
CIP.
idea.
Okay,
Here, Mike, I'm gonna get that an extra.
let's, let me just open. Are there areas where someone has identified that there should be a change in the budget?
Yeah, Gary, there is on the
Yeah, this is an
on the
extra.
fire department budget, when we look at the,
CIP.
we're on the CIP. Oh, I'm sorry, I thought we were there yet.
No, see,
Did we not jump
we're
to
doing the budget.
No.
Okay, any changes in the budget? Operating budget? Okay, so. Page 8. Operating budget. One, three. Yeah. Okay, 1,361,000. Okay, so that's almost 5%. That includes the pay increases. And that's almost 5% above last year's budget.
And what's shocking is that it's so much more than that, over what we actually
Over
spent
what we
last.
actually spent.
Yeah,
Some of that is energy cost, right?
yeah.
Much of it.
Well, there's that,
Much of the
14,000, you know,
And
there's
there's,
stuff just adds up.
and there's the 4% increase on wages and. You know. I'm open if somebody has areas that we want to change.
Well, I have a problem with the expense trust thing. I see we have funds here, 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 here. You're never gonna have emergencies in all these areas. I do not understand why there cannot be just one. And you allocate out of that one. That way you could reduce the total amount of funds that you have to get there. Because you're not gonna have emergencies in all 5 areas.
I think it's important to recognize those aren't just for emergencies, right? So if there's a major purchase that has to happen, we could fund part of it through that trust, can't we?
No,
No, it has to be.
Depending on the wording,
no,
the
no.
trust, yeah.
The trust that. I think we only have 2 trusts like that, one for the fire department, one for the highway department. And they are generally pretty small. I don't have the numbers in front of me on that item.
I do, what do you want?
Yeah, the highway is
Highway.
23,000. And right now the fire department is 4,900.
Okay.
Wasn't the library talking about having one too?
There's,
Well,
they
they're
don't show up
outside
on
the
ours.
town. Town budgetary.
It's a state issue.
Right.
It's just-
Well,
You can't mess with the
I
library.
just think by spreading it all around, you have cash that's sitting, that's not doing anything. And as a taxpayer, it is doing something to my wallet.
Well, in the end, we catch it and they're able to take it off to lower taxes. If there's money left over.
Yeah,
I mean, see, that's,
but not,
Surplus,
we're talking about this year, not
Yeah.
not next year.
well,
But, you know, I just want to bring that up, that,
yeah,
that I have a slight little problem with it.
I understand, and I think we all have those same issues.
The other side of that, coin, of course, is you have a major equipment failure and no money to pay.
Yeah.
You know, that's the other alternative.
Yeah,
Well, you're gonna have money in one big truck.
but
I'm just saying, you're not gonna have an emergency that's gonna gobble up both of those trucks at the same time during.
yeah, but what are we talking about?
Statistically, that- Probably would never happen.
It's a tough game to play for the town.
Well, I'm just saying you could reduce the amount
well,
slightly. You're looking for to save money in your whole budget. You could slightly reduce if you had just one bucket instead of 2 buckets.
well, for proper budgeting, if you can, you go through every line and mark it down by a certain amount. You know, and try to bring the whole thing down by 5%. But that's not easy. You know, I mean, you start looking at each individual item. Are we gonna reduce legal 30,000 by 5%? What is that, 1,500?
It's possible we could,
Yeah.
I mean.
Yeah, I mean, we always have the welfare money left over. What else? The other big things that we don't spend on, what are the big things that we didn't spend on last year, Gary? It was dribs and drabs that we didn't spend on.
In response to Mike's question here, we have 23,000 in highway and we have 6,000 in fire. So $30,000 total for equipment repair. We have 2 major
That's,
equipment users.
aren't you saying we have 25,000 in to repair highway equipment if we had a disaster?
23
Yeah,
something.
yeah, and we'll, after this year, we'll have 25,000 for the fire department.
Yes.
Okay.
So I agree, it's a lot of money, but the reason that it's there is so that we don't have to have 6,000, 17,000 in that budget every year in order to cover emergency expenses. So
Well, I'm not saying eliminate it. I'm just saying don't have.
you're suggesting it could be in one pot.
For
And I
sure.
think
Right.
That's,
Yeah.
I think that's a valid suggestion.
Yeah.
And because the ultimate thing is now what we're saying is you're gonna have $50,000 sitting in two different accounts,
Right,
right? What's the likelihood that both the highway department and the fire department will have extraordinary expenses that match up to $50,000 in the same year?
That's what I'm saying.
Right, so instead of funding two completely different accounts that are just sitting there, you could fund one account that's 30 to 35,000, reducing the burden to the taxpayer by 15,000, that is available for that expense if it were to happen. Because if you hit 35,
exactly right.
right, because now you've got both fire and highway can use that resource as needed. If 15,000 less than each having their own accounts at very high numbers, which I understand why you have a high number, because it's something really big. It's, you gotta cover a big expense, but the likelihood of that happening in both places in the same year is pretty slim.
Okay.
So what you need to do is have a warrant article to
Says you-
reword
We
everything.
need a warrant in order to get there.
Right.
And I understand and I'm really in full agreement with that approach. But in order to get there, we need to create a new warrant article. Okay, that takes the money out of those two warrant articles and puts it into one single warrant article.
With the right language on how it can be
Yes.
accessed by both
By both
department and what
departments.
requirement.
You also have to make sure it has the DRA.
Absolutely. And the reason that we've been in here in this situation with two emergency expendable trusts is that this was done, let me say, more than 15 years ago.
Well, it started with one, and then it sounded like a good idea just to duplicate it in another one.
Well, both of them have been here for 15 years.
Okay.
Okay, let me.
All right, it's been here for an awful long time, but that doesn't mean it has to be here
I
for
agree,
eternity.
I agree.
Let me ask Tim, what emergency repair have we ever done to the highway trucks? Do you remember? Something
Yeah, your
big?
diesel truck.
We bought tires, I bet, in there.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that, we usually budgeted for that. The amount probably ended up being what it is with the idea of if we have a blew engine in one of the trucks, because the new engine now was probably $25,000.
Well, I think there were times when we had to replace a couple of tires at $3,000 a pop.
Yeah, there have
And
been a
those
few
kinds of
different
things.
expenses over the different times.
The fire department's
So-
the same way. We have to test our pumps on all those trucks every year.
Yeah.
If something happens to them that's catastrophic and the pump has to be replaced.
Right.
That's $20,000-$30,000 a pump.
Well, we're not saying that you don't have money to do that with. We're just saying that it's in one bucket.
Yeah, and I'm okay with that.
Okay. Mike, would you,
Pass DRA monthly too.
okay, would you do a draft of a warrant article to take money from the two existing warrant articles and put it into?
I know I could have. I'll try to do it.
While we're on the subject, Ken, whatever happened to the Cascade thing? You all paid for that with a grant?
We paid for 90% of it with a grant, 10% we had to get from ARPA funds.
Oh, all right.
Paid $3,000, I think, and some change through the ARPA funds, but yeah, it's all up, it's running. I am revamping the Cascade truck, which is gonna be the bread truck now.
Right.
Is that getting revamped because of the new equipment that has to go in? We're doing that right now.
Now, here's the question. We still don't have that being replaced in our CIP. How long is this thing gonna last?
This should be a 10-year, at least 10-year, if not longer.
See, we don't have that. We don't have that on our plan.
Which one?
So we should put it in.
That Cascade thing that they,
Yeah.
Refill.
you know,
Okay.
Well, I thought George said you were gonna get rid of the Grumman.
I thought so too.
You change.
Well, he wants to
Kind of
change
change.
over to the other, but in the meantime, we still have to fix this truck because the tanks that are in it only hold 5,000 pounds.
Yeah.
The system that we have now is a 6,000 pound system.
Yeah.
So we have to upgrade that as well. And then eventually it will all get moved over to the other truck,
And you'll get rid of the Grumman.
and then the Grumman will go away.
Yeah, and that's not, wouldn't be replaced because everything's in the other truck.
Correct.
Yeah, that's why we don't have it on the. on
Well, we
the
do have a
CIP.
replacement for the Grumman truck, for the rescue truck. In our schedule for 2027. So the question is
That's
that,
supposed to have been taken off.
well, is that something that shifts over to whatever this new purpose is?
Well, we should have the, because it's never been on here, we should have the SDBA compressor itself as a warrant article unit, set up for, and let's start it at 10 years away from now.
Is that something that goes on a truck?
No, that's something that sits at the station. We have a portable one that's in the truck, but that still fills the one that's in the truck. So that one that's in the truck can go to the scene.
Is that on here?
No,
So you're saying you'll need to replace that in 10 years from now in 2030.
correct.
That's all they're getting out of it now. is-
Well, that's what we're kind of looking at, because everything is pretty much set up for 10 years. The last one, I think, lasted us 20 something years. I'm figuring we're gonna get 15 out of it, but at 10 years, we can at least start looking at it and say, okay, we still got a few years left. Let's start putting some money away for this.
What's an estimated cost for that?
Right now, it was $40,000 for the whole unit.
Yeah, I think the old one lasted 30.
Yeah, it was,
Because Ed Holtz was chief when we bought that.
there's a sign up on the ticket system, 1979, so 80, 90, 2000, probably 32, 33 years old.
As long,
79, 40 years.
as long as we're talking about the CIP budget, fire department, one of the things that we did discuss is the fire pumper itself. And we know that it was actually a 2006 vehicle. We acquired it in 2019, and can correct me if you're not with me on this one, but I was under the impression that we think that this is going to need to be replaced in the 2026 timeframe, as opposed to 30 years out.
Correct.
And so we need to move this up quite a bit.
Let me ask a question.
It's at 20 years right now. It's in the CIP spreadsheet. If you run that across to 2026,
I don't.
To 2026, where
No.
that's the replacement. There are 41,000, 40,000, 39 coming off of that.
It's not shown. in-
Well, yeah, this is that's
Grumman?
Grumman.
Grumman rescue truck.
Yeah, so when we dropped the Grumman truck, that's where the La France fire pumper should be put.
Okay, but to be clear, this 2026 date, that's per NFPA recommendation, correct?
Well, no, the
In other words, I'm trying to get a fix on what's the real life of the truck.
it's hard to say. It's either gonna have a catastrophic mechanical failure, or they're just gonna say, you can't use this truck on the street anymore, period,
Who's gonna say?
the NFPA. So they're gonna say that this truck is, 20 years old, you can't use it anymore.
Well, if we were to go down the lines on the CIP for the fire department, I don't understand what's missing and what's not missing. In other words, it makes no sense. Clearly, the cascade system is missing. Now we're saying there's no line here for the pumper being replaced.
Right, no.
The
Right.
Grumman is showing, and we're not replacing the Grumman, we're getting rid of that.
Well, according to mine, it's showing that starts to get replaced in 2027.
Right.
Right, but
With something else, not
That's
called
actually-
Grumman.
Yeah, that's actually, to
So
clarification here, the replacement is in 2026 for that item.
Hmm.
but it is going under lease for the following years. Is where the payments show up.
Okay, I need to ask, are we on CIP now? Or are we still on?
We're on
budget?
CIP.
I should. Hard to keep track tonight.
Well, it's hard not to unless you start putting.
Yeah, it's future. Getting back to the pumper, because I really think this is an absolutely crucial issue. I also am concerned about, I don't know where this number came from, the estimated replacement cost of $443,000. There's no way you're gonna replace that truck with a new truck.
$500,000.
Oh, they're more than that. Ken.
Oh, yeah, because the NFPA keeps changing.
No, well, whatever, but I've looked. I'm shocked. And my concern is that if we are gonna start to slot these things in our CIP plan, we need some realistic numbers. And if we're looking at used, are we gonna put ourselves back in the same situation, depending upon how old it is? If you can buy a 5-year-old truck that's still serviceable and save money and still get 15 years, maybe that's a way to go. But I think we really need to, that's a huge bite out of our CIP plan regardless, whether it's 500,000 or 8. A brand new one is around 800.
Depending on what you have in quick form.
Right.
Yes.
So I'm just saying that's a range, right? You know, pretty big numbers. If we are gonna put that in our schedule, and I suggest that, you know, that's not for this year, but as a committee, I think we need to really look very carefully at this. And as Ivy says, I think we need to look at everything within this and really look ahead and say, how are we gonna do this? We continue to have big paving projects in the out years, so we need to figure out a way to do this in a responsible way. I don't think tonight is the time to do that, but I'm suggesting that the CIP committee perhaps needs to meet with the fire department separately again and really go through this in a granular way. And really,
Yeah, I
I'm
agree
in
with that.
agreement.
this, you know?
I think that these fire trucks are gonna be replaced so far out. You're gonna have another problem that you have to consider where the price is gonna go up because it's gonna actually have to be an EV vehicle or a hybrid vehicle.
Well,
No,
well, we have been very fortunate lately that we have had fines. That is, we have found vehicles almost for nothing. Nothing because people have put a lot of work into transition and because we've gotten them from the state or whatever. So this is really iffy business as far as putting numbers out there for our expected expenditures.
Well,
We can't go on to hope that all of them will be free in the future.
One of the thoughts, and I suggested it at our last meeting, is that we continue to put volunteer hours into our equipment. And I know that it's a pain in the ass to follow how many hours you put in there. But if we knew that this truck was taking 40 hours a month of volunteer time and we priced that out, we may be making some different decisions about the type of truck that we purchase in the future, so that we are shortchanging ourselves if we don't fully cost the true expense of maintaining our vehicles. And it's an early indicator. If we end up, if expenses start to rise in the Grumman, get rid of the Grumman. But those are decisions that we can make when we understand where our weaknesses are in the fleet, and we don't seem to know that. Or I think we do know that, but I do
We
not
don't have it,
believe
we
that
don't have it on,
reflected here.
Maybe in your CIP plan, you didn't need to have a sub-line by these vehicles that indicates that maintenance is being put in a particular year.
that's a good way
Yeah.
to look at it, yeah. Well,
Okay.
in terms of what we need to do tonight, we need to figure out what the paving contribution is gonna be, the paving trust fund addition this year.
yes.
Okay,
And if we could actually run through all those numbers of
yes,
what's the paving gonna cost, what's coming out of trust, what's going in the trust. Because I found those numbers,
Okay, the asphalt paving trust right now has $187,165 in it. Okay,
yeah,
from that, what has come out of Kent's plan is $303,000 for 2023. That includes for
Yeah.
paving, asphalt
How
and
did you
paving.
get?
That includes
303?
109,000 from last year
Okay,
that was not done and pushed forward. And 214 that was scheduled for this year.
okay.
In the-
All right,
in
that
the
adds to
plan.
322.
I think,
Okay, come out to 303. Maybe I got a number
I
off.
think there's some confusion here.
Yeah.
Because the 109 that he was gonna do this
Right.
year was gonna be for Moran Road, Cutter Road, and Hill Road,
Okay.
and that's right here on the list, with a total of 213.
So,
And that's in the.
and this is the total list that you have now?
213, 229.
But Kenneth said he was going to, they postponed doing the work on Webster. And he said that was gonna get done this year.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we
so
put
there were
that on the
different-
list
That's on there.
too. Yeah.
So this is the full list for this year?
This is what he gave us in October.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, and there are two different ways to look at it. He has the bid from this advanced paving company.
Yep.
Okay, and then he gives us the annual plan
Yeah.
going forward,
Right.
213, 229, that's this bid right here.
Each year.
All right, so we can see what that is. That's Moran, Cutter, Tyler Hill, Upper Hill, and Webster. Okay, and he's saying here, so we know he wants to spend 213. That's this year. Now, what was in the 109? I don't remember what was in the 109 that we postponed.
That was for last year.
Webster was one of them.
And there was,
This is October of 2022.
Last year it was
This year, this is.
Howard Hill, Webster, and I don't, that might have been it.
I thought, this was included in that Main Street, but we didn't do Main Street.
Right.
Well, the only thing that needs to be paved on Webster is
Got a
from
little
from
section.
the bridge to the Wilton Town Line.
Yeah.
Which is about 1,200 feet.
Right.
The rest of Webster does not need to be paved.
Yeah, although that's,
Crack filling
yeah,
and some,
the bridge heading west up that steep little hill bit, that's starting to get pretty bad.
yeah, that.
This is your road, that's why you know it.
Yeah, that was the part, that was one of them that was on the list for 2022,
Okay. Well, there was there's
a segment,
a segment of it.
yes.
The one I'm talking about is adjacent to that segment heading farther west. That one's getting pretty bad. It's gonna need to be done in the next couple of years.
Well, one of the things that's clearly putting our budget up is this 220, whatever it is, 8,000 for the paving. So is that right?
Well, I think we need to run through the rest of the schedule down below where we're looking at the assets replaced and then what we're drawing from various truck funds, because that's where it gets a little complicated.
Okay. Okay, coming from the trust funds are two items. One, the truck from highway. Okay. And that was $175,000. And I think 108 are committed to the work that's already been done on that, and that just showed up this month. 108,000 for the chassis and the cab. The vehicle,
But we appropriated that last year.
we appropriated that and we put it into the trust fund for highway capital. Okay, 175,000. So that's the starting fund of that. All of that's, I think we have to plan that all of that 175 is going to be taken out of that for that vehicle. Ken indicated he thought it would be less, but he didn't really have numbers.
I think that's a number we planned though, right?
That is the number that we planned.
So that's a done deal, though. What I'm
Yes.
trying to get at as the 303,000 for annual paving project.
Yes,
I think I need to meet with Ken
Okay,
and talk with him about what he's,
Okay,
'cause I've got this quote is, covers most everything that needs to be done this year, 2023, and it's 213,000.
Right. It sounds like what was postponed last year, that 100 and whatever
yeah,
thousand,
109.
that is rolled into the 213 is what it sounds like.
Oh, okay, but it was 214.
On the two, whatever,
you wanna look,
prior to that.
Yes, prior to that.
Kent's got it.
So when he said I'm gonna do both of them,
That would.
I rolled those two together, which came up to 303.
Okay, he needs to,
So-
It's actually gone down now.
he needs to figure that out and tell us.
Yeah, because he issued this plan, right, which shows, for the next whatever,
Yes.
7 years, 8 years. And he's got 2013 300, which was the same figure that we had heard.
yeah, that's it,
2001,
213,
2013 300
yeah, that's exactly it.
Yeah.
For 23,
for 23.
Oh.
And again, that's Moran, Cutter, Tyler,
yeah.
Upper
Upper
Hill,
Hill.
yes,
Yeah.
and Webster.
So
yes,
that's what he's gonna do this year.
The thing that's a little confusing to me is, as you indicated, we had, again, raised and appropriated money into the paving trust fund to do paving last year that we did not do,
yes,
That's right.
$89,000.
89,000, and how much of that, because we did do some work on Main Street, how much of that is left?
That,
Yeah, we know that.
yeah,
But you said the paving balance is 187.
yes. We also got $60,000 from highway block grant savings.
Yeah,
So-
Where did it get put?
Where did it get put? It got put into this.
that got
account.
put into this.
Highway asphalt.
That was a gift from the state, and they said you can't use it the current
It
year.
wasn't a gift,
It was a gift.
that was sharing.
What?
Yeah,
It's your money. 187 includes that 60.
yes,
Okay.
includes that 60
Yeah.
and subtracts the, whatever it was taken out for the work on West Road. There was some crack seal down the center of the road deal, so.
So once again, and I'm sorry for being thick. The 303 includes additional work that was not done last year, or is that the work that's listed? Because wasn't Moran and Cutter, weren't those the last year projects, or am I
Yes,
misremembering?
yes, those were the last year project that were not done.
So where do we get the 303? Why isn't it 214? That's
Yep. Okay, the initial number that was in there was 214. I thought maybe I misunderstood, but I thought that was scheduled in last year's for 2023.
I think it's what he asked
So it's-
for
so
when we
it's-
spoke to him in the fall
That,
Yeah,
for 2023. So that's the request, I believe, for
okay,
2023.
the total request and not the 303 then.
That was my understanding, but
Is that correct? Okay.
Well, we think it is.
we think it is, but we should probably confirm
Because
that.
2 days ago, I asked him that question and I got a head shake confirmation, so maybe we didn't.
This is here, this is the plan that we received, and I believe we got that in
Yeah.
October.
that's listed
So-
here too. Okay,
If that isn't the plan, then we need to understand what the plan is.
okay. The way I figure it,
Because that 109, the reason it's critical is that 109 may be available
Absolutely.
to offset.
some of that.
Even-
Okay, so if he's gonna spend 213 and we have 188, then that means there's still going to be left 25,000
Means we have to have a
in the
warrant.
trust fund. So what do we need to add to the trust fund to provide for some future year? That's
No.
That was the other point, is that I don't think we want to drain that fund.
right. So what do we need to add to the 25,000?
We have a strategy on CIP that we're gonna put the same amount of money every year for capital replacement, and that value is $275,000. We have been putting that into asphalt and paving because it's always on that level of magnitude instead of having 16,000 in this account, 28,000 in that account, 16 in that one. So we've been kind of consolidating that it all comes out of one account. But that's been our strategy. That's the way it has worked. Now, if we suggest that the 303 should come down to 214, just so that we can, that's what, 190, so
Well, that would be instead of 303, you'd have 213.
yeah, so we'd have that number plus the 15 and 10 up above, which
And
goes to
plus the
flagpole
20.
garage
And plus the 20 for the, right,
for the,
fire department
yes,
equipment fund.
yes, the
I
town
think-
is putting out.
Your numbers also have the carpeting for 7,000 in 2023,
Yeah,
let's
that
move that
that
up.
was
You can
pushed
move
out
that
to
up. You can move that
2024.
right?
Yeah.
And also the photocopier is
Yeah, I don't know why we're
7,006,
still
which was
carrying the
pushed out.
photocopier.
Well, it was pushed out to 2024,
Yeah.
along with the
So,
police Explorer.
So the question is, again, sticking with our 275, does that mean, sticking with that number, now we've narrowed down the asset replacement amount?
Yes,
Does some of that then shift to replenishing the highway trust? Because we'll be drawing, or do we fund all of the, 213, or we probably could actually in the 275.
well, I would prefer that we put it into I would personally prefer that we put it into the trust fund. And the reason for that is that it carries
Right.
to the following years.
Right.
And also if we put it in 1 year, you never know if that's enough. Whereas, if you're $5,000 short, you got to find that out of budget.
Right.
So by putting it into the trust fund, we have some flex room.
Right, what I'm saying is, again, you said the balance in the paving trust fund currently is 187,000.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
And we'll have to run the numbers, but adding in that 20 that we discussed tonight for the fire department,
Yes.
the other, these are, the 15, the 15, the 10. It's just those plus the paving, right? Paving is let's call it 214. 225 plus 230, that's now we're up to 250 and change, 255. We're still below that 275. My point is, if it is in fact 213 for paving this year, we can confirm that. We don't have to touch the paving trust fund and still stay within our target.
Yeah,
Well, we-
and you'd be able to take whatever
Okay.
left over and put that.
Okay.
into stuff.
Yeah, okay, but,
You could, yeah, you could. That's
okay,
right. Or use it to fund the fire department one.
well,
that funding doesn't really matter what it is, because it's going to go into the trust fund. It's going to come out of the trust fund.
Right.
So the amount that we are going to be putting out is going to be the 274, 275 anyway.
I would suggest there is a difference, and it has to do with how the warrant article is worded. So if you are asking the town to fund in part by taxation and in part by withdrawal from trust fund, I believe that has to be specified in the warrant article.
Yes,
If, on the other hand, you are not withdrawing from the trust fund, that you're funding it all through taxation, the warrant article would be to raise and appropriate $214,000 for the purpose of, right, repaving projects for 2023.
yes. So my suggestion is that we put that 214, if that's what the number is,
Into the trust
into
fund.
the trust
Okay.
fund.
And then a separate thing to fund through the trust fund to fund the paving project.
No, that's already done. That's by the trust fund. Once it's in the.
So
trust fund-
you don't need a separate article
No.
to authorize the paving
No.
fund?
No,
Oh, it is
It's
expendable.
an expense.
yes,
Okay. So it would simply be to fund the trust fund for future paving projects.
yes, maybe for this one and future ones, which is kind of,
Okay, all right.
and,
Gives you more flexibility.
okay, so our 275 number, okay. Has, if you look at the sheet, flagpole, garage door, municipal alarm system, and we can add 20,000 for the
Fire department.
for the fire department stuff. So we take that away from our 275. Okay, and then we end up with $230,000
Yeah.
that we're gonna fund the asphalt and paving program.
215.
250, yeah, I added the 20, yeah, 215.
I have some quotes coming in for the municipal alarm system, but I think 10 grand is unrealistic. The way I'm trying to do it is to update all of the buildings.
What's the quote for that?
I don't know yet. He just came the other day, so you should expect a quote some point late next week. I'm assuming around 30,000 for all the buildings.
Yeah, that was actually gonna be my question. If we get a quote for everything, are we going to appropriate for everything this year? Or do we do municipal building first and we'll probably get a better deal if we combine it all.
If we combine it all, not only will we get a better deal, but she will be able to control
Everything.
every building.
But now that's where you gotta spend your ARPA money. Don't you?
Well, we could, I mean,
Yeah,
the problem is, we've got some amount of ARPA money left. I don't remember offhand what it is. But we have multiple contenders for that shrinking pool. Somebody's gonna win, somebody's gonna lose, so,
I think Carol told me the other day, I think it was around 50,000.
yeah, that's, I thought it was around 48, 50, something like that.
um,
And does that count taking the well out? Probably not.
I think she did take the
Oh,
well.
okay, all right.
Take the well out, what does that mean?
We appropriated money
Oh,
for
for this
Gale's
one.
well.
Yeah, I had another.
We're gonna name it.
Yes, Gale's memorial.
I won't be dragging those hoses.
Or maybe it's just the wrong one.
Dry hole.
Yeah. Okay,
Okay, so, what I understand now. Okay,
We
is that
have-
we probably, instead of the 303, have 214, is that right?
I think so.
Okay.
That's
Ken,
what
will you,
I said, I'd like
will you
to
verify
check
that
with Ken.
and get back to me, and I'll put that number in there. And replace the 303 on the chart. We have the 20,000, what are we gonna do with the municipal alarm system?
Ken, when do you think you'll have a?
I'm hoping late next week. I will have a quote.
Well, we can do a hybrid approach. I mean, the warrant article I wrote.
Yeah.
We could have. Take 10,000 for that, and then whatever's left over, we can make up from the ARPA funds, whatever
Yeah, do
excess.
that,
is, we can
yeah,
make up from the ARPA funds.
so in other words, you've got 60,000 committed to these 60,000 to the additions here. 15, 15, 10, and 20,
Yes,
Add that to the 213.
that's 60.
yeah,
You got 273, so.
Yeah.
You got 213, I'm talking 314. What are we,
no, it's 214.
The 214 for the paved,
214 for the paving?
and then the 60 covers all your flagpole and your
Yeah,
door.
Yeah.
74 right there, there's your money right there.
That hits our target.
That's the target, yeah.
Where you want to be.
All right, now we could decide to do the entire alarm system out of the ARPA funds and drop that warrant article. The other contenders, the library wanted to have their fence paid out of the ARPA funds. The ballpark,
Has to be done.
there's safety issues there. That's got to get done. So
What's the price on that?
I don't remember, we don't have any current pricing.
don't have any current prices for that.
We've dragged this on for a couple of years now.
Uh-huh.
Danny said it was something like 20,000 to just basic. And if they wanted to replace all the tennis court, that was 40,000.
Yeah, that's the tennis court itself.
With the
We're
playground,
just talking the playground and the fencing itself is what we're going to use opera funds for because it's a safety issue there.
And the library, as I think I communicated, has said they're gonna hold off.
right, so that's not a contender anymore. So we need to pay for the work down at the ball field area and possibly the alarm system. And that's gonna use up all the funds to do that.
Okay. How about if we leave $10,000 in? And the balance to come from ARPA funding,
Okay.
and that way we get town approval through the warrant article to say, yes, the alarm needs to be updated. It's part of the municipal structure for government buildings, et cetera. And we have the full town buy-in.
Yes, we also have an obligation to preserve the records that would be lost if it catches on fire. Although many people would probably be happy to have those records.
It would be very embarrassing if the fire department burned down.
Yes, that would be, yeah, that would put us on the front page.
I think the alarm though, I mean, what are the ARPA funds for, but for stuff like that?
For sure.
Yeah, exactly.
It's also for like things like the ball field and well, it's for totally discretionary. So we have to just decide what are we going to fund out of that, or what are we going to fund with taxation.
Okay.
But, once you do get numbers.
I'll get them right to Gary and Gary can put them out to everybody.
Hmm.
And again, are we getting multiple quotes or just one?
I've got 2 for the flagpoles. I've got 2 coming for the alarms, but I'm not holding my breath for the first one.
Yeah.
That one out now.
Yeah,
I've asked them 3 or 4 times over months and they have not responded.
I've told him, and I was actually there the other day with his guys when they were doing their yearly test. And I told him, look, if he doesn't give us a quote, no harm, no foul, but you guys are gonna lose everything.
Yeah.
So,
And the flagpole came in at,
around 15, I got 13 on one and I'm waiting for the other one, which I think is gonna be a little bit less.
so
But basically, it's the same flagpole.
do you think we can whittle that down a bit?
The flagpole?
Yeah.
No, we could go with the external.
Yeah.
Oh, no, I mean, the 13 is below the 15.
It depends on how much the highway department can do for us.
Okay. Oh, right, because we got a ton there.
Because we have to do the whole, all that stuff. So it depends on if they can supply us with sand, gravel, cement. That's,
So we do the
the
footing,
savings or not,
we do the footing and they put.
and they set the pole.
Hmm.
You know, that,
It's fault if they break that stone.
Well, we were looking at that. That has to be good. We're gonna have to cut that pole out of there now and save that griststone and move it. We're not gonna be able to keep that. We're not gonna be able to put the flagpole in that one.
Okay,
what I would like to do, if you think about it, is put that grist thing in the common, on the common,
okay.
not where it is now. It was where nobody sees it, where it is now,
Right, and I don't care if we put it on a common or put it by this one over here,
somewhere.
the one we have over here. But I figured if we could stand that thing up and put a base on it. And then put the plaque on it so people can read and see what it is. 'cause
Yeah,
nobody
yeah,
sees
yeah.
it on the lawn.
It ought to be taken care of properly.
Be put over by the scale.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh, that's a problem.
nobody sees it over there. I think
No.
we have this big monument out front. It's not gonna look bad if we put it right next to it.
Well, it could go on the common itself, I mean, there's room there.
By the way, there's apparently a matching stone.
Between the cannon.
Yeah, something like that.
And the matching stone is in the stream. And if the town wanted to have a matching stone, well, they could come like donate it to the town.
I got one in my wife's herb garden too.
Okay, what do we need to do?
Okay.
Well, I think we need to make assignments for who's doing what warrant order. Are we, is CIP writing these? Is
I've,
someone-
I've written a bunch of them.
Yes,
Yes,
Gail
we have
has,
some already.
Gail has.
Bill wrote a couple.
Okay,
So
I'll,
do you need me to do anything?
I need you to look at them and tell me what's wrong with them.
We-
okay, you're gonna get back to me tomorrow on the actual target, but, and maybe I just misunderstood Canada.
Well, maybe what we're going by right here isn't what he's planning on
Yeah.
doing.
You want to take this home with you, 'cause I got this off my computer. Or that's what he gave us in October.
Okay,
Yeah, I just need to confirm with him.
Yeah.
I don't remember the date we have to get the warrant appropriation warrant articles to DRA, but that's coming up pretty quickly.
Yes.
So any appropriation warrant article needs to
Yeah,
get
we
done
need to
now.
write them, yeah.
okay, and I'll
Yeah.
get those back to you tomorrow.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll use these numbers. The 15, 15, 10, and 20 for fire department. And we'll resolve that one. And so 215, numbers have shifted, whatever that is, to bring it up to 275. Okay,
Ultimately, then the only change in the mill rate would come out of the 4% increase in the operating budget, because if we're doing the same funding that we always do, then that's kind of.
so that we're at 1.3 and this is 275, so that's, you know, that'll drop down below into the 4% kind of range, which is actually, I think, pretty good. All things considered.
I think when you've got a between 6 and 8% inflation rate, that's doing pretty okay.
Okay,
And I will try and see if I can get an answer on that library line item as well.
Okay,
I'll reach out. to them.
yeah.
Your just consolidation of the, those funds, does that have to be for you tomorrow?
no, but because that's not a,
Okay,
oh, maybe that is a. If we put the $20,000 into it, then we do need it. So I'm gonna be gone next week. So
Tell me the dates you're gonna be gone, Gary.
22 to 29,
Sunday to Sunday?
yes.
Okay,
And the budget hearing is February 9th.
9,
Yeah, second week.
comes
so-
right up.
Okay.
Okay.
I will. When I have this information, I will get sheets back out and there will be next level of adjustment. And I think we're on the final strokes here.
Did the library say why they were just gonna not do is it like too much hassle to do a warrant article for them?
No, and I made clear that we would take care of the actual drafting of that for them. They're having discussions within the trustees as to the need for it.
Because it came across.
Are we supposed to adjourn it?
Yes.
And
Unless they do business.
we're gonna get in trouble.
Yeah, I understand.
So if anything, even if they don't want to do that, then think maybe the board should
Yeah,
just write it and put it in.
they've sort of committed themselves at this point by raising it as a safety issue. It now becomes a town liability.
They had 10 different reasons why they had to have this fence, and now we're gonna tell them no. That's just, to me, I don't know if we can do that.
The land in question is town
Town
property.
property, yes.
Yeah.
So it is a town issue, not so much a library issue.
Well, it
Is
is.
it,
a
is it
library.
town
Library
property?
is its
It's a
own
library
entity.
also?
No, believe me, I understand that.
It's really near this
Property itself is-
rules to have libraries.
Huge.
We own it all, but they can run the show.
We don't get to.
So it's.
We don't say much.
I
I don't know anybody else that uses that lawn over there other than the level.
Anyone trying to get the internet for free. But the other issue too, of course, is there's some question as to whether or not, you know, if the highway department moves at some point, you know, now we're re-examining that whole area, right? So, you know, could that end up being, you
It could
know,
be totally different.
throwing money away, you know, at least.
And there's also the issue of all the underground wiring, piping, et cetera.
Yeah.
that have to be identified.
Especially the piping,
And
propane and what.
Yeah, that can be done. We could
Can be done, sure.
think.
all this stuff can be done.
We,
I mean, I don't know if they would do it though up here. I know they would do it on the street, but I don't know if they would do it up here.
Tim knows where it all is.
Tim's the only guy in the world, I think, that.
You guys have got a map. I gave you guys. It's right in the town office.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, pictures I have.
No, I gave it down in the town office, file down in the town office, map where everything is. So,
And
And
we are
well-
burning all of our documents. You'll be able to retrieve it.
We're not safe yet.
Okay, new business. Going once,
When would we meet again?
Yeah, when's the next meeting?
The next meeting.
Is the budget hearing? Is that the next meeting?
Do we need to clean up anything before that?
I think we have numbers based on this meeting. I will distribute those in the next couple of days.
This is only the,
Do you need an official acceptance of the warrant articles from either committee? And if so, you probably have to meet to do. Doesn't have to be a long.
to approve the articles.
I'm asking the question. I don't know if you require.
We usually do vote on them.
We do.
Yeah, we-
CIP committee
We
votes on
have
it.
in the past.
Yeah. Well, who's got a calendar?
I do.
everybody's got a calendar.
I don't have one.
Except you. Yes.
What's the date you're back, Gary?
Wednesday, the 1st is not a good day for me. I can do the 2nd, which is a Thursday.
Thursday, February 2nd.
Yes.
Does that work for everybody?
Probably.
Yep.
Next meeting, Thursday.
It's Groundhog Day.
It is indeed.
Do we need CIP plus BAC or just CIP?
I think we've finished the budget, have we?
Yeah, I think we just need CIP.
Just need
So
CIP.
Budget is welcome to attend.
Okay, right.
And in the half of the BIC committee is on the budget committee.
The second.
Okay,
And this time works at 7 o'clock.
Okay, so it's gonna be a CIP meeting, not a joint
Correct.
meeting. Okay.
okay.
And it's, I don't think it has to be a long meeting. I think the other
No.
thing we could discuss though is, I do think we need to, as a group, as a committee, the CIP needs to sort of start to pre-plan for next year.
Right.
We may want to, again, have a more detailed discussion with the
Fire department.
fire department prior to,
Yeah.
you know.
The other problem is we have to write a report for the town report.
Yes,
Oh, I
soon,
know.
quickly.
Yeah.
Many things, we're running out of time.
I assume. you
We-
want me to do that?
You and I can get together on
Okay.
that. Okay.
Okay, so the next BAC meeting will be our joint budget hearing.
Yes.
Okay.
And that would be a joint everybody meeting, right?
Yep.
For the 9th and 7th.
Mhm.
Okay, we have sign up for elections also, which is coming up. I think we have 2 people. And who else is? Who else?
We have them in my car if you want me to go get it.
Wait a minute, it's Tim is up and Paul.
Tim and
can wait.
Paul.
Yeah,
Okay, so
Tim, please, you gotta re-up.
My wife said no.
Does Paul want to continue?
I presume, but he has missed some meetings, so and he did not send me a note this time. And again, I thank you for taking excellent notes.
Oh, this is gonna be chaotic today, I can tell you.
Well, we bounce back and forth.
Yeah.
I get credit for the bouncing.
Yeah, you can always review the video.
Right,
Sure.
Right.
That works.
that's even more painful than enduring the meeting.
Deja vu.
Okay, if there's nothing else, I'd entertain.
I make motion during the meeting.
Okay,
I have
So-
a second,
8:25,
8:25.
No,
okay.
just so you guys know when they get ready to do the well, if they need.
Okay.
Seven.
We are
Thank you.
adjourned.
All right, the meeting's
Thank you
adjourned.
all.
We're now going to end the meeting for all.
Say that again.
Hopefully, they all in favor.